everyone.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah,
Hello.
hi Helen. Hi Patrick. Thank you
Hello.
for
Hello,
coming
everyone. Hi,
on
how are
our
you?
talk
Yeah,
show
hello.
hi Helen. Hi Patrick. Thank you
Hello.
for
Hello,
coming
everyone. Hi,
on
how are
our
you?
talk
Yeah,
show
hello.
hi Helen. Hi
Hello,
Patrick. Thank you
Hello.
for
hello,
coming
everyone. Hi,
on
how are
our
you?
talk show
Hello.
hi Helen. Hi Patrick. Thank you
Hello.
for
Hello, everyone.
coming
Hi, how
on
are
our
you?
talk show
Hello.
hi Helen. Hi Patrick. Thank you
Hello,
for
everyone.
coming
Hi, how
on
are
our
you?
talk show.
Hello.
Hi, Helen. Hi, Patrick. Thank you for
Hello, everyone.
coming.
Hi, how
I'm
are
pure
you?
about talk show. Hi, Helen. Hi, Patrick. Thank you for coming. Getting injured. And today, both of them will be talking about the lower body functional movements and how to work around the injuries. And thank you so much, Helen and Patrick. It's been our honor to have you again.
All right.
Thank you for having
Awesome.
us.
Yeah, thank you for having us. We're happy to share some information and be here again. Again, today we want to talk about some lower body functional movements and how to kind of work around injuries. Okay, so first off, we just want to kind of jump right into some exercises that you can do. Some you can do at home. Some you can do if you have shoulder injuries or just to kind of get you guys doing some squatting movements. I'm going to also go over some other lower body functional movements like step ups and things like and something called the box squat that we'll kind of go over at the end. Okay. So the first thing we want to start off with, you want to get started with that, would be a body weight squat. All right. So we're going to first show you. We're going to go through a list of different exercises. The first one is going to be the body weight squat. Okay. So basically, it's just a functional movement. If we can demo that, I'm going to have Helen demo everything.
Okay.
Okay.
So the body weight squat.
So basically, the body weight squat is just like it says, right? So you're just going to do body weight squats, making sure that if you have healthy knees, you want to make sure that your hips fall below your knee. Okay, so we want to do a couple of reps so everyone can see. Okay, perfect. All right, and that's something again you could do at home. Um, you don't need a big gym to come and do it, and you can get the full benefit of hitting all the lower body muscles with basically just your body weight. Okay.
Maybe we should go over like mistakes that people do when they
Yes.
perform a squat.
Yes.
But I
So
think
let's
they can
talk
see
about
my feet.
common mistakes that people do. All right. So the first one is go
So
in front of the knee.
So heels.
So
come
on
to
your
the floor. I
heels.
don't know if you guys can see.
Can you guys see that at home?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
the heels coming off of the floor and that this and the knees shooting forward. Okay, so right now there's too much pressure on the knee joint. Okay, what you want to do is focus on pushing your midfoot and heel down into the floor. Okay, and then having your I always tell people to try to have your knee track like right over your big toe. So if you can see her sit down in her squat, her knees aren't shooting forward and her heels are down on the floor. Okay,
Okay.
and that way she's loading all of the pressure right on the heel and the midfoot. Okay, not on the toe.
Okay.
Because if you're on the toe, you're gonna roll all your weight's gonna roll forward onto the knee joint, and it's gonna create too much pressure. Right? Good. A common mistake is basically over rotating a little bit, or sitting up a little too high in your squat, or folding over forward. Okay, so right here, sitting when you cut your squat short, what happens is you put a lot of pressure. Go ahead if you sit down. If you're putting a lot of pressure on the lower back. Okay, so what you want to do is create what we call a rebound effect at the bottom of your squat, right? So where you're activating all of the muscles. So again, if you sit down into a full squat, you can see the transition, how smooth her transition is, right? Versus if she cuts her squat short. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now think about that motion when she cuts her squat short and she sits forward. First of all, she's not engaging her lower body at all. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
transition of her almost not dropping your hips down becomes almost like a little bit of what we call a shearing force, right? So it causes too much pressure on the lower back and too much pressure on the hips as well. Okay, good. All right. All right. So the next,
Okay, we can go.
yeah, go on. So the next exercise we're gonna do is called the goblet squat. Okay. So with this exercise right here, you can use a kettlebell or a dumbbell. Okay.
Mhm.
So the reason why we would have we do variation exercises with our clients, but for some people who have like shoulder impingements or something like that, this exercise is actually really good for people who may not be able to hold a barbell. All right. So they once again you want to create as little distance as you can with the dumbbell. All right, and you want to just drop your elbows in between your knees when you sit down into that squat. Go ahead, do a couple of reps, Ellen. Perfect. Okay.
Oh, wow.
What you want to do is rest the dumbbell on your chest,
Right.
but you don't want to have it too far out either. Just keep like a few inches away from your chest. Your elbows nice and high. Don't let your elbows flare out here.
You want to keep your elbows tucked in, okay, so you can keep all that
So-
pressure
So
off of
everything
the
should
shoulders.
be in between your knees when you sit,
Oh,
as opposed to having, flaring this out.
okay.
All right. All right. And the other exercise we can do the dumbbell squat too.
So here.
Yeah, down by the side. So the other exercise we're going to show you guys is with two dumbbells. Okay, this is an exercise definitely what we call the shoulder saver exercise. But again, we do it with our clients just to give them a variation of if we don't want them holding the barbell and stressing their shoulders too much, we have them do this variation of an exercise. So it's almost the same as a goblet squat, but it literally takes up all the pressure off of your shoulders. Go ahead, Helen. Perfect. Good. Same thing.
The
She's
dumbbells are
by your side, and the same thing as you do in a normal body weight squat. You're just going to drop your hips down the same way you do in a normal body weight squat. Okay. Perfect. Good. All right. Awesome. All right. And so the other squat we want to show you guys is a fully functional movement. This is where we graduate. So we usually start our clients off first. If we see them having issues with squats, we usually start them off with the body weight squat, just to kind of get them moving and seeing how well they function, right? Again,
like a range of motion.
yeah, we check range of motion. Again, we talked about this in the first show. We check range of motion. We check check to see if their shoulder mobility is good. Sometimes we have to work up to all these exercises you see us do with the dumbbells and the goblet squat. It's kind of like a progression to what's called a barbell squat. Ultimately, you want to get to a barbell squat, right? That is probably the best functional full body exercise you can do. But again, as we spoke about in the first show, we want to gradually progress our clients to the final movement, as you say, okay, which will be a barbell squat. So I'm going to have Helen set herself up in a barbell squat, and I want to show everyone at home what it should look like. All right. So I'm going to kind of pan over to the squat rack, and she's going to do her movement, her thing. All right, so the first thing you want to, yeah, that's fine. You can face that way. So I'm going to explain. The first thing you want to do is get under the barbell. So you can see how it takes a lot of stress on the shoulders, right? So that's why we want to kind of gradually make sure that everyone can grip the barbell well, okay? The second thing she's going to do is now she's going to take a deep breath, and then she's going to sit down in a squat, okay? Kind of like the body weight squat, but now she has the barbell on her back, okay? So, you can wrap it back real quick. Okay, so what happens when you put a barbell on the back, it activates a lot more muscles, right? A lot more muscles, like the hamstrings are now activated. So right when you put your shoulders up here, what happens to your hamstring is they get short, right? So this is where we can also tell if your hamstrings are super tight, right? Because if your hamstrings are tight, you're going to have a hard time sitting down. All right. So that's why we try to kind of work on some weaknesses and check to make sure that everyone is able to perform that exercise efficiently. Correct. Um, so that's some of the squat. Those are basically four progression squats that we showed you three, and the last one was the barbell squat. Okay, so we kind of use that to progress up to the final barbell squat. Now we want to show you some modifications that we do for people who have knee injuries, who may have some issues with their hips, anything like that. Okay, so first thing we do is, can we break out the box so I can show everyone? So for example, if someone has a knee issue, we usually have them do what's called a box squat. Okay, so basically all they're going to do, maybe stand back a little bit so people can see. Yeah, move that back a little bit. Okay. Can you guys see that box right there? You can
Yes,
see that, right?
we can. Yeah.
All right. So someone with a knee issue, sometimes what happens is when they sit down all the way down in the squat, their knees will start to hurt. They have knee pain. All right.
Yeah.
So what we have them do in this sense is that we put something behind them so that they're stopping just about parallel to the floor, right? So that right there releases some of the pressure on the knee, and they're able to squat down. All right.
Some people can start a little bit
And some
higher.
people, and it depends. Like some people who have worse injuries than others. It depends, and that will determine like what height of the box they can start at, right? And as they get stronger, we kind of knock the levels down on the box. As their joints get stronger, we kind of decrease the height of the box so that they're sitting down at a 90-degree angle by the time that they get stronger. Okay. And also, we try to coach them on just making sure that they're trying to engage their muscles when you're sitting down, so they're just not plopping down on the box, right? So
So you want to be nice and controlled.
nice and control when you sit down, okay?
As opposed to like,
Plopping
Oh.
down on the box, right? So we call it maintaining tightness all the way through. So that means that your muscles are activating even on your descending motion of the exercise, right? So you're not just like sitting down. You're kind of controlling your muscles, controlling yourself going down, and make sure you sit softly on the box. Therefore, actually protecting your lower back and then protecting your knees at the same time. All right, good. All right. So we want to start with the next exercise we want to do is called a step up. Okay.
Okay.
So it's another exercise that we use for people who may have some kind of knee injury. It's a great rehab exercise. It's basically just stepping up. Like you guys step up on the stairs every day. People have trouble doing that. So what we do is we just have them step right up on that box. Okay.
Oh.
All right.
so the same thing, there's levels so we may start you on a low step, then build you up higher and higher. We can load weight, dumbbells on your side,
if you want to
goblet
challenge a little
style,
bit,
or
yeah.
barbell.
Yeah, but it's just
Progress.
just another way of working and building those stabilizer muscles in the knee to help strengthen the knee. So I love it as a rehab exercise. It's great. I know they do it in a lot of PT. So we try to incorporate that here as well, because it's not just about squatting and doing all that stuff. It's more about developing all those ligaments and tendons and making them stronger.
Yeah,
So we
working
try
on
to
imbalance.
do, working on imbalances and things like that. So we try to do unilateral movements where they're just trying to work working, whether stepping up on one leg, and trying to really activate those ligaments and tendons to make them strong, so that supports the bigger muscles. All right. So we try to incorporate all that stuff in as a part of the overall strength of the person, trying to building strength. So it's very important as far as injury repair and recovery and stuff like that. So again, like Helen said, we try to graduate people from it doesn't matter if you can step 4 feet high, 12 or 4 inches, sorry. 4 inches high, 12 inches high. We kind of determine where you are by just evaluating, right? So we want to actually show you guys, it's called a lunge. Okay. So we're going to show you a a regular lunge or normal lunge, I should say, and then we're going to modify the movement a little bit so that everyone can do it, right? So,
Okay.
yeah, we'll pan out a little bit. That's good. Okay. So, first thing you want to do is you can put your hands on your hips or put your hands on your side, wherever you feel comfortable. Bring it down. Okay. So, what you want to do is you're going to step out. Again, we try to coach people not to let their knee shoot forward. Her knee is lined up right with her toe. Okay, steps forward. So what that does, step forward and just kind of hold them. Sorry. So what that does is it loads the quads, the hamstrings, and the glutes, and it takes the pressure off of the knee. All right. Sorry, I made her hold that position for too long. All right. That is the proper way to perform a lunge, right? So we sometimes, again, we have to work on technical issues. There are people that may do a lunge, and again, the knee go under and the heels, and the knees will shoot forward. So that in turn, again, puts a lot of pressure on the knee. So we really try to coach people with how to do a proper lunge with proper form. So I want to show you guys how to modify a lunge. So at home, you can do this at home as well, okay? So what you want to do, if you have like a door or maybe a wall at home, what you want to do is hold on to the wall at home, and you can modify it that way, okay? Just by holding on, okay? Or you can do, if you're, some people may be afraid to step out, what you can do is called a stationary lunge. Okay, so you're just going to get yourself in that position here, and you're just going to go down here. Okay, so you can do it again. You could do it without holding on, or you can just grab a wall at home and do it that way. Okay, and what else? You said the Bulgarian split squat?
Yeah, so it's like an advanced.
Okay, so we're going to show you something called a Bulgarian split squat. Okay, so she wants to show you this advanced. It's a more advanced movement, but it's a great movement again for unilateral movement to developing what we call the stabilizer muscles. Okay, so go ahead.
So should I face forward?
Yeah, you can face forward. Good. So this one, as you can see, it almost looks like a stationary lunge, but one of her legs is placed on the elevated. Her back leg is elevated. So what she's going to do is try to drop that back knee down as far as she can go without it touching the floor. Okay, and her knee is going to go parallel, as it's going to line up with her big toe and come up. Okay, she's making this exercise look very easy, but it's actually a very hard exercise. It never gets easy. It's a very hard exercise.
I was about to say it is a hard exercise.
It is a very hard exercise.
I do this and it's not this easy.
No, I know. So again, those usually, like when we modify squats and things like that, we really focus on trying to get them to sit down on a box. And also too, some people have the fear of some people have a fear of falling too. So when we're trying to coach squats, having people sit down on a surface gives them a more confidence to squat. So if we, for example, you may have someone who is trying to squat and they keep falling backwards because they're just afraid of sitting down, right? So putting something under them or behind them gives them the confidence to actually sit down in the squat. So we try to do like different tricks and modifications like that to kind of develop or give people the confidence to squat. Or if someone comes in again with a knee issue, we tell them you can squat. We just have to kind of work around it to modify it a little bit. As far as, like I said, having them sit on the box, we work on levels depending on their range of motion. We also work on range of motion, trying to teach them how to stretch and do things like that, because even when people have arthritis, like it's very important for them to stretch and do mobility exercises. So those people like that think they're not able to squat, but you're fully capable of squatting. We just have to kind of work on your flexibility and mobility, and then modify your squat so you can perform the movement well. Yeah, and that's.
Oh. Yeah, no, very, very informative. And by the time when you were teaching, I have few questions that were being asked. So I will ask you. So it is related to the box that you were using, right? So if someone has suffered from injuries, how should they start? That's the first part of the question. The second one is how high the box need to be.
Oh, it depends. Definitely depends on the individual. And this, like, again, it depends on, I touched on this, like what their range of motion is, right? So we want to work on range of motion. And then, like I alluded to also too, part of part of part of that is increasing their range of motion, right? So if they have knee injuries and things like that, we want to work on just saying, okay, so what is your range of motion? How high do we need to set the box so they can perform the exercises pain-free? And as their range of motion increases and gets better, then we start to work on having them sit a little bit lower. You know what I mean?
So you may want to start like a bench, like the height of a bench at the gym, or even a little higher. If you can get the risers at the gym, you can go a little higher than the height of a regular bench, like a chest press bench.
Oh,
and
okay.
then press from there, and so you can go lower to like a 12-inch box.
Yeah.
But you want to progress. Make sure that you're not in pain while you're doing
no one should be in pain exercising.
Yeah.
That's number one.
Oh, okay. And also, I wanted to check. Another question is that as a beginner, can I start without weight?
Yes,
Yes,
100%, 100%.
definitely.
You don't need all you need is your body weight to start exercising. You do not need weights to start exercising. Movement, remember we talked about movement, right? So, you know, the body weight squat is a functional movement, right? You don't,
Right.
and it's all about progression. So until you're able to be efficient in that squat, like I would never suggest you put weight in your hands, you know, until you get really good at balance yourself into a lunge. You don't need a weight. You don't, because the balance itself is a challenge, right? Like, you know,
So
the
first
balance
you have to be
itself
able
is
to
a
manage
challenge.
your own body weight.
Yeah, you have to
before
manage.
moving on to adding weight.
100% right. Yeah, so that's the key. You know, that's why we
And
call it.
I have another question is that so the exercises that you were telling before, like, you know, for example, the squats and so are they good for burning fat?
Yes.
And
100%.
So
Is it-
squat is the biggest
Squat is the king.
fat burner.
Yes, squat is the biggest fat burner
Nice.
because the biggest fat burner ever.
Oh.
It is.
Every muscle
It's
in your
working
body.
every muscle in your body. So especially when you graduate to like holding something,
Yeah,
like
when
if
you
you're
load it.
when you're loading, like if you load like the dumbbell, the kettlebell, or the barbell, like right away the dynamic of the exercise changes because now you're not just squatting your own body weight, you're squatting resistance, right? So if you once you start loading resistance, like you're gonna get a higher calorie burn because now you have to work a little harder. So now even if you held, you know, if you're doing your body weight and now you put 15 pounds in your hand, that's 15 pounds of resistance. So you're definitely going to burn more calories that way. 100%.
Oh, okay. Another question is, so are these exercises or any one particular, are they recommended for the overweight person?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
So that's why we have
that's why we have
modifications.
modifications as well. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, you know, you may have like I said, like I mentioned before, like sometimes we may have an individual who is not comfortable sitting down or squatting. So we have modifications that will help anyone perform a squat. Whether you're overweight, you're injured, everybody should be squatting 100%. Take care of you.
Yeah, because I have been like, you know, doing these kind of exercises for the past, like due to pandemic and all those things. So at home, so I can see that when you were talking about like, you know, wobbling and like, you know, on the I can relate with you because when you don't know, then it happens. Eventually, then you start like, you know, developing that.
Yeah.
So like, you know, whatever tips you have given actually are so good because the knee should not go out. And that's what our orthopedic doctor recommended my husband also. So yeah, like, you know, these kind of functional movements that you have taught us is like very important for us to do, which we don't understand that.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it carries over to your
everyday life.
everyday
Yeah,
life. You go up the stairs.
Yeah.
That's a step up, right?
yeah, you're stepping up. Yeah,
You're picking up things from the floor. That's a squat.
yeah.
So yes, definitely functional movement.
Yes. So thank you so much, Helen and Patrick, for being a part of our talk show with Ola Doctor. And we'll be looking forward to having our another episode with you on December 14th,
Okay.
where we'll be talking about the strength program tailored for a particular person.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yes, thank you so much. And
Thank you guys. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank
yeah,
you.
you too. Happy holidays.
Okay.
All
All
right,
right.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.